Pretty fucking things, everyone. Thought I would do a little update video and let you know what I've been doing. As far as games, anime, books, whatever. As far as games, I've been playing Battlestar Galactica online, you know that. But today, Vindictus, a big patch came out with the 5th boat, enchanting for your weapons. Changed a bunch of stuff. You can now walk to a road chest, but you can't go inside the castle. You can like walk there though. So there's a lot of stuff in Vindictus that's been added. They changed the level cap to 50. They added the hero mode and gauntlet mode, whatever that is. I think you gotta go through a bunch of bosses. Kind of like my idea that I had, but different. So that's pretty big news. So I just got back from the bookstore, and you know, I noticed something while I was at the bookstore. They got this book, Naked Heat, and it's by Richard Castle. And if any of you watched the TV show Castle, starring the guy that was in Firefly, which Stormkiller has kind of a crush on, like a man crush or something. It's kind of weird. He'll watch anything that he's in, pretty much. So this is a fictional character. Richard Castle is in this TV show, writing books and helping the police solve murders. He's kind of like Stephen King. Like, it's not really him writing it. I guess ABC Studios produced it, but they're producing it like he wrote it. I don't know who the actual author is, because I looked all through it and I couldn't find out who actually wrote it. So it's kind of like not real. There's also the prequel to it called Heatwave, and neither one of these books, like, if you were just like stumbling across it, you would see this guy's picture and you would think that's Richard Castle, because it says, here's his picture of this actor, and it says Richard Castle, but that's not him. That's not the guy. It's this other dude. That kind of made me think, like, maybe that's how the Bible got started, you know, like, it all was like, they hear these stories, you know, and like, oh, let's make an actual book about a story, and have the guy, like, from the story be the writer. Like God, everybody knows about this God thing that everybody created, you know. Well, everybody creates thousands of different kinds of gods, but it could be an explanation of how Jesus could be thought of as a real person. Because if you didn't know any better, you would think Richard Castle was a real person. If you just went along and saw this book. And a lot of theists will give you this argument, you know, oh, the Bible's true because God wrote it, and God exists because the Bible says so, and they don't understand that that's circular logic, and they just goes right over their heads for some reason. And like a lot of really well-known people that are kind of famous for writing books on theology and stuff, they don't have any better argument than that, and it's really weird and pathetic. But that's an example of how it could happen. But anyway, as far as books go, I just finished this book, small favorite. I was going to put it over here because I got more room now. My head's over here, so I'll put it over here. This is a book by Jim Butcher, who writes these books about Harry Dresden, who's this wizard detective in Chicago. It's really good. I highly recommend it. This one especially is really action-packed. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. It was like watching a movie. So, I got the sequel to it, Turncoat. I think this was like number 7 or 8 in the series. I've read a ton of these Jim Butcher books by Harry Dresden. And there was like a sci-fi series made on it. So, looking forward to reading this. I'm currently reading Monster Hunter International by Larry Correia, but not spelled like Korea. It's with a C. If you like Modern Warfare 2 and games that like have a lot of detailed guns and stuff and specialty ammo and like gunsmithing, like if you like Wings of Redemption videos where he talks about guns, you would like this book. This is even more like an action-packed movie. Like, it's constantly awesome action where like this it's about this group called the MHI, Monster Hunter International, that goes around hunting monsters like werewolves, vampires, zombies, and all kinds of other crazy crap, and they have all these cool guns. And they get all these bounties from the government, like this special government fund that nobody knows about. It's all a big secret. And they make tons of money. And they go through all this training. And this one guy is like really good because his dad's paranoid and kind of trained him in fighting and guns. And he's a really big dude and kicks everybody's ass. So, it's pretty awesome. So I got the sequel to that, which is Monster Hunter Vendetta. Look at that. They're fighting a giant fucking sandworm type thing. It's all like holographically covered, sort of. You know, I was watching Bob Samurai's video about his anime collection. I don't really understand the appeal of people buying all these box sets and actual anime and DVD cases and stuff. Or people that buy, like, Halo special editions and do their unboxings. Like, I don't have any... Like, I guess if you work in a factory and you see that it's all just a bunch of packaging materials, and it's like, once they figure out how to stamp that little image onto the CDs, you know, and put them in their special little cases... with like little weird stuff like a tin case or like weird boxes that flip open and stuff. It's just like probably 10 cents or something to make something like that. It's not that big a deal. You don't need to collect them. And I don't know, it's weird people like stuff like that. It's just like plastic, cardboard. I mean, I would rather have like, if I wanted the artwork that are on them, like some of them have really cool artworks on the front, I would just get a picture of that and put it as my wallpaper on my desktop or have like a folder of them or something. I would rather have something like that because I'm more about the content instead of the you know, packaging materials. Anyway, here's this book here, Dwarves. I don't know what it's about. I'm thinking it's something to do with fantasy, sci-fi, dragons maybe. But I like dwarves, so maybe there's some dwarves in it. This was in my video me and Craft just did. We went to the bookstore. And it was like really expensive. It's like $16. And there's a sequel out now, so I'm going to see if this is good. And if it is, I'll get the sequel. Pretty pimp. Giant Book of Dwarves. And I was going to get the Warhammer, another Warhammer book called like Oathbreaker or something, but I couldn't find any. They just had a bunch of humans. Who wants to read about humans? And I got this Ender in Exile, sequel to the Ender's Game 8-book series. Or I think this takes place earlier. It's like different kind of in-between happenings or something, like after the battle, before he went to Speak for the Dead when he grew up, sometime in that place, I think. Yeah, because he's in exile. That's after the war. You know, they sent him away because he's too smart and he would destroy the world if they sent him back to Earth. Pretty pimp. So, that's all the book news I have. Anime news. I finished watching Working, and that's a good anime. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but it's about this dude. It's kind of a little bit slice of lifey. Like this guy works in a restaurant, kind of like NHK is kind of just like a slice of life. Well, not really. It's just more like a crazy, weird alternative lifestyle. But that's pretty like a normal, everyday kind of anime. But there's like some weird characters. Like there's this girl that always carries a samurai sword. And I don't think they ever explained why. Her dad was like a swordsmith, but she always carries a samurai sword. And there's this other girl that always punches guys because she has this anthrophobia. It's a fear of man. So, like, whenever she sees men, like males, she thinks they're going to rape her or something. She just punches them right in the face. And this one guy that's working there tries to help her with a problem, you know, and lets her punch him all the time and beat him up. And her dad made her, like, afraid of men because he told her that they were going to rape her and stuff because he didn't want anybody dating his daughter or something weird. Kind of fucked her up. But it's pretty good anime. And Tenjo Tenge. I really want to recommend this because it started out fucking awesome. Like there's this one dude and this other dude, this black guy, Japanese guys, but one of them's black. And they go to this high school where it's like a martial arts school, right? Like there's a lot of anime based on like high schools about martial arts, like the Ikitosen. But this is he's got some kind of special power, you know. And it's like he needs to be trained and he's kicking ass, and all of a sudden, like about 10 episodes in, or 8 or 10 episodes in, like they go to this flashback from before, and it gets really boring. Like I don't care about any of this stuff that happened before. I want to see what this other dude does. Like I don't care about the one, like the major guy in the high school that he's got to fight. He goes back to like him being crazy, and this one girl that's teaching him, she can like change her body into like a little girl, like when she was younger, and then she can grow up again really fast. Whenever she wants, she can just switch in and out because I guess somehow she's harnessed her chi in such a fashion that she can do that. Makes no sense, but I guess. And there's this other girl that can make her body really skinny, which she walks around all the time like really skinny, but when she lets go of her energy that's holding it in, like all of her muscle tissue, she gets really fat. She has all these like knives and stuff hidden in her body that all just fly out because of her fatness. It's pretty weird, but yeah, I'd watch the first few episodes of Tenjo Tenge if you got it, or watch it on Anime because that's where I watched it. And I watched this anime movie called Origin: Spirits of the Past, which was about they were doing like some experiments on plants on the moon, and they mutated and took over the Earth. Like if you studied any kind of like astrophysics, it's really absurd for these plants to just like reach out and grab to the Earth, and they got some kind of like sentience and not artificial intelligence, but they just became intelligent, and they started hoarding all the water supply, and the humans wanted to get rid of them because they wanted it to go back the way it was, you know, and like the army wants to destroy them. This other people want to like live in peace with them, and you know, at the end it all works out. It's kind of like Avatar. It's like nothing ever happens. I mean, they stopped the army and they realized it was a bad idea, and it's like, no, it just went back to the way we were. I think somebody woke up from the past. They were in this cryogenic chamber, yeah. And she was like related to the doctor that invented the stuff that made the world all apocalypse out with plants. And they had this big button to nuke the plants with this giant volcano walking mountain thing. And they just said, nah, let's not do that. It's a bad idea. They talked him out of it. So, okay, I guess back to the way we were. And that's how it ended. Spoiler alert, it goes, if you see the beginning of the movie, that's how the end of the movie is. It was pretty good, though. I started watching this series called Shura no Toki, which is based on Kenpo and fighting without weapons, and this guy goes around in samurai days. I don't know if that's the Edo period or the Tokugawa era or whatever it's called, but he punches shit, and he dodges swords and like steps on them and just fucking owns samurais without any weapons. And I was gonna make a separate video about this in particular, but there's like a lot of these animes. You'll see these guys walking around with big pans, like pots on their back, like a stir fry pot, and they just live off the land, and they just make a campfire, and they cook shit in it. And like at one point, he kills a boar, like a wild pig, and he makes some stew. But like I didn't see where the vegetables came from. He just catches a pig, and he says, "Hey man, can I borrow your pot?" And he makes some boar stew. Like where the hell did he get the vegetables? And I got this idea that maybe, like if I was running the world, I might get rid of grass, because I don't see any point of having grass other than making oxygen. It just kind of looks good in your yard. Like if we had let plants run wild and like only chose out and selected the good plants like fruits and potatoes and corn and food bearing plants, and just let them take over the world, and just so there's food everywhere. So like when you wanted to go out and eat, you wouldn't have to go to the grocery store and buy it. We would need like shipping trucks using up all this gasoline and polluting the atmosphere, carrying food back and forth. You just go out into your yard and say, "Oh, let's see, I'll take some of this, some of this, some of this." Like on the way back from work, you'll stop off in a field where there's some strawberries or something that you need that you don't have near your house. And if you want some meat, you go out and you shoot a pig or something, and you kill it, and you just eat what you got. You don't have to pay for it. And it seems like it'd be really nice. Would that work? Like in cities, you'd have to do something different because everybody's all condensed and there's not room for plants to run everywhere in gardens, but it seems like it would be really a good idea. Because there's like loads of places around here that's just like fields where cows roam around. And I don't know, if you just let all the cows be farmed by farmers, maybe you could just have the meat be shipped around and all that. How would that work? Like there's just fields and forests of stuff, there's just nothing there. People should just planted rows and rows of food crops, and then just not harvested them. And let all the seeds, run to the ground and make more food crops and just kind of spread around the way they normally would. Instead of like every year you got to plant some and you take them and eat them, and you got to plant some more and you got to eat those and you plant some more. Like just plant them and let them go, and then don't eat some for a while, and then let it take over. Does that not sound crazy? Would it work? I don't know if it would work or not, but it sounds like it would work. And then like in the forest, you would have like all these mushrooms planted everywhere. Maybe you could live in trees. Select out the giant redwood sequoia trees, build your houses in huts up in the trees, or inside of trees. If you could do that without killing the tree, you wouldn't need to make houses. Bam! You didn't want to have like fires inside of your house because it could burn the tree down since it's made of wood. But you deal with that in houses anyway, because you burn your house down. You just go out and get some mushrooms and shoot a deer. Go out in the ways where there's some foods, just pick it up off the ground and eat it. You would still need some processing, because like bread, nobody knows how to make that anymore. You don't want to spend all day picking up fucking wheat and grinding it up and baking it and making bread out of it, so there's some things still you'd have to make. But like the problem I was trying to solve was this thing with corn syrup running wild, like it's in all the foods, it just makes everything sweeter. And preservatives. Preservatives are huge. There's like everything has so many preservatives because you have to like ship everything everywhere. And it's got to last because you don't want all your food going to waste when it's sitting on a shelf. And if you just went out and grabbed stuff like every day, you're eating fresh food that you just picked yourself that day, and you're not like storing it in your fridge for like weeks and months and all your cabinets and crap. That would solve a lot of problems there, and you would get rid of this problem with like, well, I don't know how this would solve it, but like with chickens, like chicken breasts today have been genetically selected or engineered to be crazy huge compared to like what they really need. Like chickens aren't made to, they're not meant to be like walking around with huge breasts that like weigh them over, they're so fucking fat. Like if you had a real chicken that hadn't been genetically selected, it would be probably really skinny. Probably wouldn't look anything like a chicken, but you'd probably, like in my idea, you could maybe set up traps outside your house and like just catch stuff like wild chickens and boars and smaller animals, and that would be your meat supply. You just leave it in a little cage. I mean, it's kind of like free range farming, like when you just let stuff run around, you don't keep it all locked up. But then you have your own cages for, like, you don't want to, like, every day you have to go hunting for meat. So it's like you check your cages. If you got anything in there, that's what you eat for meat. It takes away a lot of the busy work of having to choose what you're going to eat. Just like whatever happens to be in your cage that day. Maybe it's some kind of, like a badger or something, or like a groundhog. You got to eat it. It's what you got. Sorry. Unless you want to just eat vegetables. Some neighbor's cat wandered into your cage. Well, it's mine now. Anyway, Sure on Tokyo has nothing to do with that. It's just my idea I had for people that walk around with pots or something like that. And I watched the first episode of this anime called Kaibutsu no Ojo. or Princess Resurrection, and it's pretty neat. I think there's some werewolves in it, and some, like, every episode is kind of weird. Like, this guy has to do something for this princess, or she has some kind of supernatural power. She's like a witch or something, and he, like, has to, like, do something for her because she saved his life or something, and it's like payment. He has to, like, do so many tasks for her, maybe. I think that's what it's about. I haven't really gotten into it that much, but it looks to be good. So I think that's all I've been watching anime-wise. Oh, I started Full Metal Alchemist again, because I only watched like the first 2 episodes. I never really got into it, so I'm trying to start watching that again. And I still need to finish Black Lagoon and some other stuff, so try to catch up on those. I think that's pretty much what's been going on. Oh, as far as the pro at cooking videos, I don't think I'm going to make any more. Not because I don't like pro at cooking videos, just because Epic Mealtime, if you haven't seen those guys, they have outdone me. I mean, I can't make any better videos than Epic Mealtime. Especially their turducken epic from Thanksgiving. That was badass. But there's also, if you haven't seen Epic Mealtime, you gotta check them out, because they're badass. They basically, they cook stuff with like 20 pounds of bacon added to it. There's somebody I just subscribed to the other day, somebody recommended Swedish Mealtime. Yeah, it's they're pretty much poking fun at the Epic Mealtime guys, but it's these Swedish guys, and they cook with furious anger. Like, they do some stupid shit, like they start slicing up some onions or something, and then they say Swedish way, and he puts in a knife and he just throws the onion at the knife, and he just throws shit all over the fucking kitchen and beats the fuck out of shit, just punches meat to tenderize it, and slams it around, and throws eggs in the pan with shells and everything. Doesn't give a fuck. Definitely watch Swedish Mealtime. I've watched all those videos at work the other day, and Epic Mealtime. You gotta see those. I'm gonna put links to those in the favorites, because my pro cooking videos suck compared to those guys, and they have a much better budget and cleaner kitchen. So that's it for today.